Do you understand how many people that Arsenal feed? Take a moment to think about what I've just said. Do you have any comprehension about the amount of people that Arsenal Football Club feed? Jobs they keep going. They must be such an important part to the GDP. Is it the GDP? It's GDP, right? Am I being stupid? GDP. The gross domestic product, right? GDP of the mainstream media. They must be. They have to be. The stuff that gets said about them is an absolute atrocity. And I have to call this stuff out. I find these things to a point now horrible. Now, I know none of you like the Sun newspaper. Okay, let's get that out of the way. I know nobody likes them, but they have a massive audience. And what people do with the Sun, and I know you've seen this too, is an article or a story or an opinion will come from it. Nobody props it. Nobody backs it. But they find a way of reiterating it, or they wait for another newspaper to write an article based on it. And then they go, the Mirror's done it now, or the Daily Mail. I can talk about it and back it. And it becomes a systematic problem in that way. Now, for a while now, we have seen some crazy accusations thrown at Arsenal. Some crazy accusations thrown at them. History rewritten. And an element of our game that we used to respect and love. Whether you found it to be something of infamy or something of brilliance, it was always celebrated in this country. Whether Jose Mourinho, who is maybe the most famous manager for instructing these behaviours. Sir Alex Ferguson had his moments. Antonio Conte is another who springs to mind. But for some unknown reason, and I say that with an air of sarcasm, when it comes to Arsenal Football Club, the world has changed. History has been rewritten. And I find it despicable. Now, for many a year now, we have seen multiple articles produced about Arsenal that talk about the dark arts. Here you can see referee tells off Arsenal star Jorginho for dark arts at free kick as fans joke he turned into Ben White. There's an article here from the beginning of this season saying Premier League refs to launch new rule clampdown against dark arts loved by set-piece kings, Arsenal. And what I find really troubling, and there's some more to come about these accusations, is the fact people act like Arsenal are the only club that conducts them. So they make them sound negative, they act like they're damaging the game, and then lie to us in a secondary way by making it sound like Arsenal are the only team to do it. This here says Premier League refs plan crackdown on Arsenal's dark arts. So not only specifically to Arsenal, when again, Arsenal are not the only team that time waste. Arsenal are not the only team that take their time to take set pieces. Arsenal are not the only team who will historically stand in front of a goalkeeper to stop a quick counter-attack. To name just a few things, they're not the only team that does that. So why this article? Why this headline? You see here a Newcastle-based newspaper saying Newcastle versus Arsenal, dark arts addressed as Tyndall and Guimaraes moments caught on camera. I mean, literally writing articles about addressing dark arts. It's a bit like diving. I look at dark arts a bit like diving. There are times when our teams are impacted by someone diving against us, winning a penalty. It's a lot harder to do that now. And as a younger man, I'd jump on anyone who dived against my club and I'd go crazy. And then the older I got, the more I realised I was a raging hypocrite, because if someone in my team dived and we won a penalty, I would cheer. If we scored the penalty, I'd cheer the goal. If it helped lead us win a game, I would cheer about the victory. And I felt after a time, it was like when you're a younger man, when you're in when you're a child, when you're in your teenage years, even in your early 20s, you don't always think straight. And the older I got, the more I realised I can't be condemning diving one week and celebrating it the next. You're either against it or you kind of accept that it's part of the game. I decided to go down the route of being against it to a point where I got into a fight outside Old Trafford because this was back in the days of doing full-time Devils and doing a fan cam, and somebody overheard me say that the club should ban Rooney for diving. No, Ashley Young it was, for diving. Why? I said, well, I don't like diving. I want it eradicated. And I said, I would love our club to be the one that shows some moral fibre, some integrity, stands up, and actually bans its own players for diving. Maybe we can start a trend. Maybe we can eradicate that element of the game. That was just my view at the time. And it didn't go down very well, but at least I took a stance. At least it wasn't 1 week great, 1 week it's bad, next week it's even worse, then it's fantastic again. I saw no progression for the game this way. And we got to a point where we've gone from pundits condemning diving to saying, well, defenders made it easy for them by leaving their leg hanging out. And I couldn't believe listening to professional pundits suddenly praising diving. Another article here says Mikel Arteta has summoned the dark arts of a Premier League icon and may now sign his son. I mean, Mikel Arteta would be able to take Arsenal's dark arts capability to the next level with one signing. Now, I mean, these things are just horrendous. Now, they wouldn't be horrendous if Arsenal were being celebrated for being savvy, not being... Arsenal were a team that were criticised for years for being naive, not playing the game, and sometimes being a little bit too honest. Now that they're doing things a little bit more on the dark art side, it was twisted into a real negative, and that bothered me because of the hypocrisy within it. But I want you to listen to this video, and this build-up has been because of this video. I want you to listen to this here. And this is, again, professional punditry, professional journalists, whether you like or loathe the Sun newspaper, each to their own. I don't like it, but there we go. It is still a multi-million-pound organisation owned by multi-billion-pound corporations, so they have the money for research, etc. But take a listen to this.
Arsenal are trying to manipulate the new law where goalkeepers cannot hold on to the ball for 8 seconds, because then you get another corner. Yeah. And you don't want to concede corners against Arsenal. And so then what they do is they get, in one instance it's Gyökeres, one instance it's Calafiori, a couple of times Gabriel after a free kick or set piece runs in front. One occasion Arsenal got 3 players doing it where they're actually trying to stop the goalkeeper distributing. But fair play to the referee.
So they get
in order so that they get a corner. It happened at the Tottenham Stadium. It was the first one of the season where the Burnley keeper has held on for it for too long and Tottenham get a corner. Arsenal have identified this straight away. They want more corners. Of course they do. They're the best at them, okay? So, but fair play to the referee. He says, I am not going to give a corner if you are preventing the keeper. If the keeper's time wasting, corner. But yeah, another couple of little dirty tricks from Arsenal, which works.
So dirty tricks. You see that word right at the end there, dirty tricks. Makes it sound horrible. Arsenal have not identified a way of manipulating the rules. Let's listen to the opening line again.
Arsenal are trying to manipulate the new law.
They're not trying to manipulate the new law. And the referee, fair play to him for telling Arsenal no. He has to tell Arsenal no. And Arsenal are not trying to manipulate the law. The new law states the 8 seconds starts when the goalkeeper is unchallenged. These ignoramuses, these morons, these prats, these amoebas, they don't know the law of which they speak of. If a goalie's got it for 3 seconds and then a player stands ahead of him, the counter starts again because they're being challenged. When someone stands in front of you, it's considered a challenge. Arsenal are not trying to get a corner. Arsenal are doing what 99.99999% of teams do. They're trying to stop a quick counter-attack, which everybody does. Everybody's doing it. They are not trying to get more corners. They're not trying to stop the goalie from distributing so they can go, 8 seconds, ref, 8 seconds, give us a corner. It's the whole thing's a lie from start to finish, but it's the layers of the lie. It's like an onion of lies. It is absolutely crazy. This counts as professional journalism, professional punditry. It is the absolute bottom of the barrel, nonsensical tripe. Some of the worst stuff I've ever heard in my life. They're not manipulating the law. They're trying to stop a counter. They will get told to leave, but it's a non-bookable offence. The counter doesn't start, so they're not going to get a corner because the goalkeeper's being challenged. And the bit that made me laugh is dirty tricks, what that everybody's doing. The fact that they're singling out Arsenal shows you there is a bitter, negative, some will even say sinister agenda from the mainstream media to push a certain narrative about Arsenal. One, it ain't against the rules. So one, it doesn't start the 8-second rule. 2, it's not a dirty trick. 3, everybody's doing it. 4, they're not trying to manipulate the law. 5, these fools don't know the goddamn law of which they speak of. No wonder. Listen, the mainstream media is copying fan content. You know, even some of the channels that look like fan channels, they're owned by some of the biggest media corporations in the world. And that's fine. There's a space for everybody. But no wonder real fan media is overtaken. No wonder the mainstream media is trying everything they can to stop us from growing, because they just lie to us on such a regular basis. It's crazy. Look, as ever, I want your views. I'd love to get your opinions on this in the comments section below. Please like, subscribe. Please hit the hype button if you could as well, people. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace!